of the Mississippi River Commission. I'm Lester Gooden, Vice President of Levee District Number 3 of Mississippi County, Missouri. I am a farmer in the Birds Point New Madrid floodway, where the Gooden family has farmed 5 generations. I must say, an outsider dealing with bureaucracy is always seeking the responsible person, the decision maker. General Walsh, you are a Major General of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. You're Commanding General of the Mississippi River Division and President of the Mississippi River Commission. I assume, therefore, that you are that person. So it is to you I address many of my remarks. If I am in error, please forward this statement to the proper authority and ask that person to respond. The Corps of Engineers' performance throughout the lower Mississippi Valley during the Great Flood of 2011 was by and large magnificent. The Mississippi River tributary system functioned essentially as designed. Not a single MR&T levee failed that was not designed to fail. The Corps responded to this crisis with high energy and consummate professionalism, commensurate with the highest standards of your fine organization. And I congratulate you, General Walsh, and all your people for an exceedingly long and difficult job. Very well done. The Birds Point New Madrid frontline levee, however, did fail. It failed by explosive design beginning on the night of May the 2nd, pursuant to the MR&T operational plan. And you proclaimed floodway operation a rousing success. The floodway performed entirely to expectations. Its operation probably saved Cairo. It relieved critical pressure at the critical moment on flood control features for many, many miles up and down the river. And so after many years of often bitter wrangling, core confidence in the efficacy of the Birds Point New Madrid floodway seems vindicated at last. In mid-May, you confirmed to Congressman Joanne Emerson your commitment, quote, given funding availability to make things right in the destroyed section of the floodway's frontline levee, beginning as soon as floodwaters receded. We, and by that I mean local interest, Mrs. Emerson, we believed you, and we're very relieved. We believed you not only because you said it, we believed it as well because you knew the floodway had proven itself after all. You had proclaimed it so. An integral part of the MR&T. Thank heaven you had it at that critical moment in 2011. It can, however, only be operated if the frontline levee is at authorized grade. Only at authorized grade is it right. Otherwise, it is just a 133,000-acre shallow holding tank, already filling as the river rises above flood stage in Cairo, becoming unavailable for operation and irrelevant by the time the river reaches toward criticality. The floodway is vital to save Cairo and all those many, many miles of structures up and down the river. No wonder you wanted to get it right, to make it right, to restore it to authorized grade, because that is where it will be right and available. You might well need it again, possibly even in the coming flood season. We wanted it right as well. By we, I mean local interest. We wanted it to authorize grade. For absolutely the first time in the recorded history of the Birds Point New Madrid floodway, Corps of Engineers' interest and local interest coincided perfectly. We should have thrown a party. As the waters receded, local interests, the Levee Drainage District, the county, the state, farmers, began with a will to repair damages throughout the floodway, spending vast amounts of money based on your commitment. Track hoes and bulldozers by the dozen swarmed the landscape. Tractors were everywhere as farmers tried to repair their land and plant simultaneously. Then, on June 4th, the rug was pulled out from under, and the confounded confusion that began that obtains to this day. On Thursday, June 4th, we were informed no work of any kind would proceed in the valley until at least September. Not to put too fine a point on it, General, you welched. We were angry, you can understand. But we could not afford to sit still. We had no protection. The river was rising again, already within a couple of feet of flowing back through the gap at the fuse plug. The Corps was doing nothing and was going to do nothing. Levee District Number 3 had a responsibility to provide the best protection. We hired a professional engineer, and only 1 week later, on Thursday, June 9th, overnighted a plan to Memphis, complete with specs showing grade, cross-section, elevations, and so forth, for a temporary levee to be built by our levee district at our own expense. We were ready to begin moving dirt the next day, June 10th, to meet that rising river. My mouth's getting dry. We were ready. We waited for a response. On Monday, the plan was in Memphis. On Tuesday, the 14th, the plan was still under scrutiny in Vicksburg. Decision pending. Then, you changed your mind again. You announced on the 15th, Wednesday the 15th, that equipment would be on site right away, and so it was, only a few days later. But you declared you were only going to build a temporary levee. Elevation 51 feet on the Cairo Gauge. Why 51 feet? What is the magic of 51 feet? I've been asked that a dozen times, and it was only in preparing this statement I looked back and realized 51 feet was the elevation Levee District Number 3 proposed in the plan that we were going to finance and construct, which we sent to Memphis on June 9th. And the reason the elevation in our plan was 51 feet was because that was all the Levee District Number 3 could afford to buy. And Vicksburg, the very next day, after examining it, adopted that elevation for your own standard. The very next day. Same elevation, 51. After careful engineering analysis and evaluation, I'm sure. That damned, seemingly arbitrary, yet lingering 51-foot elevation subsequently has become set in concrete. It remains so to this day. We might have a higher levee, a building today, if Levee District Number 3 had just had more money to spend. Where, sir, is your sense of urgency in these matters? Why do you seem to shirk your responsibility to act? Decisions and revisions, indecision and confusion, delay and procrastination. That has been the summertime fairy tale in the floodway since June the 4th. Why was it not, for example, until Thursday, June 9th, that Corps officials arrived just to inspect the explosive-filled pipes that failed to detonate, to remove them? The experts finally arrived some 5 weeks later. It took them an additional 2 weeks to do the job. No other work could be done within 1,500 feet of the pipe zone. More than 1/3 of the blasted fuse plug was off limits until late July. Yet, General Walsh, on that chilly night, May the 2nd, you must have known within a millisecond of pressing that button that at least one 1,106-foot section of the fuse plug had failed to detonate. What preparations for recovery and removal did you initiate then? That's a lot of DBA 105P and pipes lying around, and it is very powerful stuff. The thought must surely have occurred to you that it was a serious problem requiring immediate action once the flood went down. The pipes were finally removed at the end of July. My statement here today may seem harsh, General Walker, but it is made only of words. Words are transient. While your actions, or rather the lack of action these past 3 months, will have far harsher consequences and long-term effect on those here who will suffer the consequences. Please understand, I have enormous respect for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and the expertise and the integrity of its people. But in almost 30 years on the board of Levee District Number 3, working with the Corps in good times creatively and in bad times always with mutual respect, I have never seen such a shoddy performance as that exhibited so far this summer by the Corps under your command. Any questions?